often, and that is students bringing guns on campus. Just last week, we had 2 incidents here in the Valley. On Wednesday, officers were called to Verrado High School in Buckeye. A student told staff they saw another student with a gun. Now, no weapon was found at the time, but the next day there was new information that led police to search a car, and they found a gun in another student's car. Then, just on Friday, a team was arrested for bringing a loaded gun to school at Casa Grande High School. Officers found the handgun in his backpack, along with an extended magazine and several rounds of ammunition. So, obviously, these situations are dangerous. The students involved can also face some hefty penalties. And joining us this morning to talk about this, criminal defense lawyer James Palestini. Hello, James. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I asked you earlier, what's going on? How come all of a sudden these guns are finding their way onto campuses?
I don't know. I mean, I think this starts with the parents. The parents aren't practicing safe gun laws. They should be keeping these locked up. But the problem in Arizona is there are no laws against parents for not storing these weapons properly.
So you can basically have a handgun sitting on a nightstand somewhere, and if a 6-year-old gets a hold of it, you're not necessarily in trouble, is what you're saying.
Correct. I mean, there are some things that a prosecutor could do, but it's very limited.
All right, so let's say I read somewhere that a couple of years ago we had a 2nd grader bring a gun on campus. Let's talk about criminal penalties for the kids if we can.
Sure.
Let's say maybe you're a 16-year-old teenager who goes to a high school campus and you have a gun in your backpack. What are we talking about?
So the child could be looking at a couple different charges. One of them is a misconduct involving weapons charge. So that can potentially be charged as a Class 6 felony, where you could be looking at 2 years in the Department of Corrections and 3 years probation. And it's important to note that these kids can also be charged as adults when there's a weapon involved or if it's a serious offense. Alternatively, you could be looking at a Class 1 misdemeanor. Now, a Class 1 misdemeanor is something a little bit more common that I see. I've represented several of these students in these situations, and I typically see them charged with a Class 1 misdemeanor under misconduct involving weapons or disorderly conduct. And that carries with it 6 months in jail and a 3-year probation term as well.
Oh my gosh. So you've had clients that they've gone to jail, or is it jail for 6 months? Or like
so that's a
correction facility, or what is it?
That's a potential. I've never had a client do that time.
Oh, really?
But that is the max that they would be looking at.
What are the judgments that you've gotten in your cases?
So the most recent one we got handled with classes. So essentially they went to classes in exchange for complete dismissal. But keep in mind that this child didn't get off easily. They were suspended right away. An investigation in the school board occurred, and then they were eventually expelled.
And I would imagine it's even more serious if they had some sort of intent to use the gun, as opposed to if it's just a mistake and they left their backpack.
Absolutely, absolutely. So facts matter in these cases. And if they're just bringing a gun by accident or there's no malintent, an attorney can really work with those set of facts.
James Palestini, thank you so much for coming in. How can people get in touch with you?
So you can see me on my website, PalestiniLaw.com.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.